We move voluntarily to feel good, we move to get stronger, we move for peace of mind, and some of us move involuntarily, repeatedly. Hello and welcome to TickFit the podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things movement in both the exercise sphere and in life with Tourette syndrome. This is a platform to discuss Tourette syndrome and its effects on our bodies. We'll speak with movement professionals where we can advocate and educate about Tourette syndrome, while the Tourette community can benefit from the expertise of these individuals. We'll also speak with professionals about Tourette syndrome and other tic disorders. I'm your host, Raquel Cunningham, and I've been on a quest for the past 2 decades to discover the connection between movement, exercise, and our ticking muscles. This is not meant to diagnose or treat Tourette syndrome. There is no cure for Tourette syndrome. We are here to advocate and educate about Tourette through conversation, and anything in this podcast is for informational purposes only. Please always consult with your doctor before beginning any exercise program to make sure that it's right for you. Hey everyone, welcome to the music episode. Music has been a major tool throughout my life with living with Tourette's and all of its co-occurring conditions, mainly ADHD, anxiety, and insomnia. So we're going to get into it, how music can be a tool and how it applies to working out too, what it can do for you. So I've always loved music because I've always loved moving. I really miss the tangibility of music. I miss the album art. I miss the sleeves inside of cassettes, all of it. So some random fun facts about how music has really played a role in my life with all of this was, first of all, in making TickFit, how I focus. And this has been, gosh, I probably realized this back in high school, but really started to lean into it when I was in college, all the way through adulthood till now. But when I focus, I pick the same song and listen to it on repeat over and over until I get that task done. There's something about the predictability of a beat that is calming and helps me focus. I've always needed something on in the background. TV doesn't work, it's too visually distracting, but the same song. At most, I might have the same 3 songs circulating and they change over time. It's not like I've listened to one song for 20 years. But whatever gets me into that headspace of being able to produce the work that I need to do, that's on repeat. And it's usually never more than 3, but that consistent beat is soothing. No matter what the beat is, it doesn't have to be classical. It doesn't have to be rap. It doesn't have to be techno. Obviously, I hit 3 very different extremes with that, but whatever that song is, just keep it going. That's one tool that's helped me. I know that might drive other people crazy, but again, the Tourette brain is different for all of us, as is whatever recipe of co-occurring conditions we have that make us us. So some other things, I've started to make playlists based on this, and I'll just call it the repeats. And as I go through and as they kind of change over time, I can't even give a guesstimate, but I guess I will, maybe a month or so of a certain song before that kind of wears out for me. But I'll add that to my playlist of repeats. And then over time, just keep building that. And it's kind of fun to track that musical journey of creating focused work through music. So another way that music has helped me is I've had insomnia forever. I just mentioned that was one of my co-occurring conditions. I'm technically an elder millennial, but still a millennial nonetheless. But I can tell you a whole lot about Gilligan's Island episodes and I Dream of Jeannie and I Love Lucy, because that was the only thing that was on TV at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep as a kid. And I found music to be a helpful, soothing way to help get me to sleep. But it wasn't necessarily what you think. I reference my college days a lot, even though it was quite a while ago, just because that was an incredibly pivotal time for my Tourette's and how I looked at them and embraced them and learned about them. And that was also when I went off medication after being on it for about 15 years. And I would listen to the same song to go to sleep. And one of them that I remember was Enter Sandman by Metallica. It is a not sleepy time song, but that's what got me. And it was the same beat, that same predictable, hard bass rhythm that I could get on board with, that maybe listen to it 3 to 4 times and it would send me off to sleep. So I have another playlist that I just call the beats. And it's when I have a really hard rhythm that I can connect with. And I find that incredibly soothing and what whatever I use it for focusing, for downshifting, sometimes to go to sleep, just something that I can predictably connect with. Maybe it sounds like a hard heartbeat, who knows? But that's another tool that I've used. So as a swimmer for most of my life, most of my formative athletic years, you don't listen to music. You are underwater, gliding back and forth. So when I stopped swimming competitively and then started swimming recreationally and then transitioned into tries for a little bit, they started to make all of these underwater music headphones. I tried it and I found it incredibly distracting. It was really wild to me to figure out a beat per minute of a music and how that paired with whatever swim workout I was doing. And it just didn't match. It was so unnatural. Even to this day, I still prefer swimming without music. Maybe I'll try it again. I've become a seasonal swimmer in spring, which is, here we go. We're about to start diving in. But it's kind of been a fun experiment to feel that disconnect and figure out if there is something that I can do to connect, or maybe I just prefer the peaceful quiet underneath the water and just truly experiencing what it is to glide. And in the beginning, it's very choppy until I get back into it. But that discourse I find really interesting, because when I run, I would have a whole other playlist, my run playlist, or my fast running playlist, or my mindful running playlist. And there were songs on my mindful running playlist when I just needed to clear my head, and they were more soothing rhythms. And sometimes I would create a scenario in my head that tell myself a story while I was running, why I was running, versus the days that I just had a lot of extra energy. I had a lot of extra anxiety that I needed to run fast. It was more sprint work based. It's a whole different playlist that I would use my music for. But I noticed other trainers did that as well. Back at one of the studios, one of the gyms I worked at, there was a huge, awesome boxing studio. And I'd go in there and do some jump rope. And I walked in, there was a guy just wailing on the bag. He was ex-professional boxer and like not sure what music I was going to walk into. You have this automatic guess of what you think it's going to be. And it was the blues. And he kind of looked at me and he's like, "Are you okay listening to this?" I'm like, "First of all, I've got my headphones, I'm joining your space, do you? But that's amazing." And he started telling me how this was the music that got him in the zone. I'm like, I completely get that. I do that too. When I'm jump roping, it might not be the high intensity stuff. I really wish we had a word for this in the English language. If I can talk English, we'll see here. But I really wish that we had a word to have this mental connection to music that doesn't match your emotions, but you have your mind-body connection. Like, what is that word? It puts you in the zone. The zone is such a sacred space in training of just high focus, high clarity, incredible mind-body connection, and music can help put you there. And it doesn't always have to be the 128 beats per minute, the 140 beats per minute. Quite honestly, some of the higher beat per minute music like that actually increases my ticks. My body is not most adept at high intensity interval training. I wouldn't say that I'm built to be a sprinter. I'm built to be a kind of muscular endurance is my niche, where I've really found the combination of what I like to do and then what I have a natural propensity to do. But the high intensity stuff, some people are built for that. They love that. That's what makes them feel better. And naturally, there's going to be a higher beat per minute music that goes along with that. Not for me. If I usually have to finish a strong workout with a shorter high intensity burst, like a metabolic finisher, maybe I can change my music for that too. Maybe it starts out with whatever I need my brain space to be, whatever I have this word that doesn't exist yet. Let's make one that is this connection with music that doesn't match your emotions, but leaves you in this space of an incredible mind-body connection. Well, then all of a sudden, if I have 5 minutes of a metabolic finisher, yeah, I might pump that up because I can do that for a shorter period of time to get the work done that I need to. And music is a tool to do that. So there's one more story I have for us here. And again, back when I was in college, when I was really kind of putting all of this under the microscope, there was a class offered to the psych majors and the music majors, and it was cognitive dissonance. Like, that sounds amazing. What is that? That's exactly, maybe that's the word. That's what we're talking about here. It doesn't necessarily relate to the brain space specific to exercise and that sacred zone space. But what it was looking at different brain states while listening to different chords, melodies, music styles, cultural music, what some cultures consider, pleasurable music versus what others don't, and the chord progressions that go along with that. It was a really, really fascinating look. We can look at cinema and movies, and there's going to be music that they put on to induce suspense or anxiety or something off. I think of the movie Inception, where there was just those really high pitched, really music, but you knew something bad, different, and off. There was a glitch happening there. And while this class was amazing, what they failed to realize when they put this together was that the music majors could understand, some of the psychological components to it, but the psych majors, we had no idea about music theory. So they really had to backtrack a lot, but it became to, explain the music theory and then the cognitive dissonance, the brain states behind that. And it became a really, really fun conversation and collaborative effort on understanding what it means, what it is, and what future implications are. So with this in mind, I really miss pop-up video. If you guys don't know what that is, a long time ago when we had music videos, we still do, not at the same rate, pace, and it's just different now. But they had pop-up music video, and they would put up a music video with just random facts, trivia about how they made the song, about the band, about anything that had to do with that song and that band. It was really fun to watch, and there's still a few tidbits that I remember from that. But with all of that, hopefully we can just start learning about how music affects our bodies and our tics, and what ways we can use it for a tool to either downshift us. I have a downshift playlist that I use. I have a recharge playlist that I have. And the way I started making this playlist, I didn't sit down all at once and just go through all my music. What a fun project that would have been. But with the speed of life right now, as a song came on, I could start to categorize what arena I would think it would fit the best in. And so I love discovering new music. Again, I really miss tangible music when you can go into a record store, plop on your headphones with a listening wall. It had maybe 6 CDs that were up, records, vinyls, cassettes, and you could just listen and explore new music. Like, in the music world, I miss album art, all of it. But hopefully we can use music as a tool, again, to downshift, to energize you. If you need a power playlist, if you need a focus playlist, if you need constantly repeating songs like I do, you can get a repeating playlist. See if that's your focus playlist. You got your sleepy time playlist. You got your hangout playlist, your chill playlist. And all of this being said, I love journaling. I love writing. There's something about this hand connection too. So we wanted to do something to keep TickFit going, and we made a coloring book. And like, what are we going to make here? We did it on 90s music nostalgia. So I'll put the link in the comments below. But if you want to promote and help support TickFit, we do offer strength training programs. And if that's not your jam, but you still want to support, grab a coloring book. They're available on Amazon. And I wish we could gift people music again. You used to be able to gift a CD, a vinyl, a cassette, or back in my day, you would make blank playlists. That's why the ones on the front are blank. So that way you can put whatever mix, whatever it is you're feeling on there. And happy coloring. It's been really fun to make. I hope you enjoy. My kids now want a boombox. If only one day we'll bring them back. But I think music is an incredible tool. It doesn't even have to be with exercise. There are people that also express not ticking when they're playing their instrument. That always brings me back to, okay, does that have something to do with the breath component? Is that because you're in your element? Is that a focused, calm, parasympathetic state of just doing something that you love or something that you can really sink into? I don't think that that's a distraction. I think that's something so much deeper than that, that you can connect to and enjoy. I really love the idea of always having a hobby that is creative in whatever outlet that means to you, whether that's coloring, whether that's singing, whether that's playing music, whether that's dancing, whether it's crafting, whether it's learning something new, which is incredible for the brain as well. Keep learning, keep trying new things, whether it's painting or watercoloring, anything. But keep honing that, keep harvesting that. We have two sides of the brain. We have the analytical side and we have the creative side, and we have to nurture both. And then, of course, our body is what houses that. So we got to take care of that too.
We love providing a platform for sharing ideas about living with Tourette syndrome and other tic disorders. While we strive to keep the content evidence based, please understand that exercise science, information about Tourette syndrome, and its co occurring conditions are constantly evolving. The content shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. By listening to this podcast, you agree to not use the information as a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment for yourself or your child. As always, consult your healthcare provider before making any medical decisions or starting any treatments related to Tourette syndrome or other health conditions, which also includes mental health. This disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast. TickFit and the podcast team do not take any responsibility for any actions taken based on the information provided. Our goal is to educate, support, and raise awareness, not to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Thanks for listening.